In the mid-2000s, on a little website known as YouTube, a certain genre of videos started to pop up. Videos known as Let's Plays. A format where people would simply play video games while giving their commentary. Something about this format was very comforting. It sometimes felt like you, the viewer, were hanging out playing this game with the Let's Player. When they laughed, you laughed. When they cried, you cried. And when the player got frustrated and started getting angry...
Alright, no! Fuck! Who did that?
You laughed even harder. Yeah, as much as we love our favorite internet personalities, there's a certain joy you get when you see them suffer and lose their minds. And one of the first games to really popularize this trend was a little game, simply dubbed Kaizo Mario World. But in order to truly understand Kaizo Mario, we need to go back, all the way back, to the early 90s. Mario was dominating the video game scene alongside Sonic the Hedgehog throughout the 90s. Mario 1, 2, and 3 were all mega hits on the NES. So when the brand new Super Nintendo was released, fans were eagerly anticipating Mario's jump to the 16-bit era. And when the game finally saw the light of day, it didn't disappoint. To some, Super Mario World is easily their favorite Mario game. To others, Super Mario World is the best video game to ever be released. In 1991, it won Game of the Year from Nintendo Power and Power Play. In 2009, a poll conducted by Empire, a popular British magazine, voted it the greatest game of all time, earning that title in many other gaming magazines as well, like Game Informer, Electric Gaming Monthly, and GameSpot, just to name a few. Super Mario World sold more than 20 million copies worldwide, making it the best-selling Super Nintendo game. The words Super Mario World and greatest of all time are almost synonymous with each other. On September 29, 1996, Super Mario 64 would be released on the N64. It was Mario's biggest advancement in the world of gaming, now entering the third dimension, where him and gaming as a whole would stay. So, where does that leave Super Mario World? It sold 20 million copies, while Mario 64 only sold 12. It was way more popular. Well, like many games of the past, it would seemingly just be a part of the past that everyone could look upon fondly together. This one singular game that all Mario fans have played. Well, not exactly. As I mentioned earlier, Super Mario World was a game that so many people loved, and when people love something, they tend to want more of it. So, if Nintendo wasn't going to make another Super Mario World game themselves, then the fans would need to take matters into their own hands. Enter the world of ROM hacking. ROM hacking is the process of modifying a ROM image or a ROM file of a video game to alter the game's graphics, dialogue, levels, gameplay, and whatever other element of a game you could think of. This technique is primarily used by fans, usually to either improve an old game in one way or another, such as enhancing the music or sharpening the graphics, or as a creative outlet to create, quote-unquote, new games. Now, if I'm being honest, I can't dive too deep into the technical aspects of ROM hacking without just reading the Wikipedia article word for word. Things like hex editing, assembly hacking, and ROM expansion are just techniques and phrases that are too smart for someone like me. But let's dive into the ROM hacks themselves. To begin our journey with ROM hacking, I obviously wanted to find the first ever Super Mario World ROM hack to hit the internet. Obviously, that can be a difficult task, considering anyone can make these games and upload it, even without it never getting any traction. But I think I've been able to track down the first Mario ROM hack to really gain some notoriety. A hack simply titled Super Demo World. This was released all the way back on September 10th, 2001 by the user Fusoya. Starting up the game, you would immediately be greeted by something so familiar, yet brand new at the same time. The title screen had a new logo, new copyright year and name, and the demo being played in the background was different as well. This was the world's first taste of Super Mario World as envisioned by the fans. The game itself wasn't anything too ambitious. Fusoya himself has even stated that the game's main purpose was to show off how to use custom block ASM, which is the game's assembly language, allowing the creator to customize the actions of the blocks. His ROM hack had blue bricks that never appeared in the core Super Mario World release. These bricks could only be destroyed with power-ups like the Fire Flower. But regardless of the game's intention, fans from all around the world found so much joy in this short demo. Unique background art for the stages, unique and varied level designs that requires an understanding of Super Mario World's mechanics. Seeing Mario World's ROM hacking origins be this interesting all the way back in 2001 is amazing. Fusoya has a website that he started back in 2000 to release this game, as well as his innovative level editor program that is still being used to this day, Lunar Magic. Lunar Magic is a very user-friendly program that allows you to create your own Mario ROM hacks. Just like with anything in life, there is a bit of a learning curve if you want to get very specific with your creations, but think of it as a more complex yet diversified Mario Maker. Lunar Magic is still the gold standard for creating Mario ROM hacks to this day. Fusoya himself is still active in the Mario ROM hacking community over 20 years later, working on and giving advice to the younger generation of ROM hackers. Without Fusoya's pioneering work, the ROM hacking community may not be what it is today. In an interview with Fusoya in 2015, they were asked, "It's been more than a decade since Super Demo World was released. Super Mario World hacking has gotten more sophisticated since then. Looking back on it, do you think it stands the test of time? If you redid it, is there anything you'd do differently?" To which Fusoya responds, "I think it does for the most part. Of course, if it were being remade today, it could have a lot more things that weren't around then. Custom music, bosses, custom code for sprites, more space for graphics, etc. And I'd probably adjust the difficulty on some bits, but it's still a hack that turned out pretty well given what was available at the time, and the strict time limit I put myself and my brother on for getting it done." Super Demo World would actually get a sequel, The Legend Continues, once again created by Fusoya and his brother. The game is more what you'd expect from a Mario ROM hack today. Fun and enjoyable chaos with that light sprinkling of precise difficulty. Eventually, the Super Mario World ROM hacking community would grow exponentially, so they all needed a place where they could all socialize, ask for advice, and of course, share their ROM hacks. Thus, in 2005, SMW Central was born. Once again, to this day is still the primary hub for all things Mario ROM hacks. With thousands of active users, Mario ROM hacks would only get bigger and better from this point on. Brand new sprites that the community would share amongst each other, giving Super Mario World an even fresher look, as well as brand new music composed by the fans, while still having that nostalgic Mario World sound. Players and game makers were having a blast, creating nothing but happy memories. That is until one fateful day in Japan. T. Takemoto. On the surface, seemingly just another Mario fan who enjoyed creating fun little ROM hacks. Well, on one fateful day in 2007, T. Takemoto created and released a ROM hack for his friend, Archiba. This ROM hack was simply titled Kaizo Mario World, shortened from its original title, Jisaku no Kaizo Mario o Yuji ni Play Saseru. And it was at this exact moment the landscape of Mario ROM hacking would forever be changed.
That is not an easy jump, I will say that much. Come on!
This is how you spend almost 20 minutes on one frick effing level.
Fuck! No, this can't be it. I refuse to give up. Later, man.
Oh god, go away.
How did I almost do this the first time? Shut up.
Oh yeah, I think I forgot to mention, many fans have comfortably translated Kaizo Mario to Asshole Mario. This ROM hack was, and still is, unbelievably difficult. Right off the bat on the intro screen, Mario could lose a life. You're not even safe at the title screen. The world map initially seems familiar, giving the player a false sense of security, but the moment the player starts level 1, the player would immediately regret their decision to download this game. Being faced with a wall of bullet bills, you seemingly don't have enough time to react to. So how exactly was the player meant to master this challenge? Well, the simple answer was save states. With this, the player could instantly save and load with the press of a button mapped to their controller. This made traversing these devious, hellish landscapes just a bit more bearable. Once you somehow magically made it over the first obstacle in the game, you were then presented with another challenge, needing to bounce on every bullet bill to traverse this pit, only to come up just a little bit short each time. Kaizo Mario is infamous for needing to have exact pinpoint platforming. If you're off by just the slightest millisecond, you'll die. Every jump will have your entire body tense up with fear, and if you're playing with the game's volume and sound up, it won't take long until this drives you insane. Kaizo Mario is the ultimate trial and error kind of game. What hurts the most is when you accidentally save state in a poor spot and end up soft locking yourself, meaning you now have no choice but to start from the beginning. The Kaizo games are notable for deliberately breaking all standard rules of normal level design and introduced many staples of the hacks, such as placing hidden blocks where the player is likely to jump, extremely fast auto-scrollers, dying at the goalpost, and various other traps. So maybe you think to yourself, okay, let's just skip that level and try another one. So we start up level 2 and... of course. You need the yellow switch palace activated in order to even attempt this level. Kaizo Mario truly is the most evil creation. And if you think you'll be getting a break when you enter the yellow switch palace, you'd be sorely mistaken. Kaizo Mario is one constant gut punch after another. The game gives you no time to breathe, which I guess is part of the appeal. However, I never would have gotten exposed to this game, as well as Mario ROM hacks as a whole, without the power of YouTube.
Hi there, my name is Proton John, and I'm one of the 4 suicidal maniacs that will be attempting Super Kaizo World.
Remember those little things called Let's Plays I mentioned earlier? Well, many YouTubers started their journeys doing these Let's Plays of Mario ROM hacks. My mind as a young teenager was blown when I saw a video titled Mario's Wacky World and saw this brand new Mario game. You bet I was hooked on this. There were many classic content creators back in the day, some of which with usernames I still don't know how to pronounce to this day. I'm sorry, Retsupure. 2 specific channels that immediately come to my mind that I would spend hours watching as a kid was AzureBlade49 and Proton John. The latter of which you may know now for being a part of the Runaway Guys. Both of these guys really nailed this Let's Play thing right out of the gate. They were so engaging, and it really felt like just hanging out with some friends.
First tries! Nope. Fine. As soon as this mouth opens, everything bad that can will happen.
But remember what I said in the beginning of the video. When your favorite Let's Player laughed, you laughed. And when they freaked out with rage...
Oh, god damn it, I did it again!
You laughed even harder. On September 26, 2007, whether Proton John knew it or not, he was making history. A Let's Play of him trying to beat the second special stage on Kaizo Mario World would hit YouTube. As you would assume, the special stages are no easier than the rest of the game, if not a little extra brutal.
Move faster, Pokey! Faster! For the love of God, faster!
This was my first time ever seeing a Mario game look this intense. I mean, I'm bad at video games, so the original Super Mario World was already pretty challenging for me. But now, somewhere in the world, there's this? I was hooked immediately. The game literally looked impossible, so I was rooting for John the whole way through.
Dramatic tension! Yes! Yeah! Oh wow, that actually, if that had loaded then, I would have flipped. Oh, what?! What?!
And the fact that he was able to die after crossing the finish line, it honestly blew me away. So, naturally, I decided to play Kaizo Mario after seeing that video. It went as well as you could expect, but surprisingly and honestly enough, if you're able to get past the initial shock of the chaos happening around you and are able to sit down and analyze the situation, the game is actually a pretty playable challenge. Later on, as you'll see, future Kaizo-inspired games will literally require you to learn exploits and glitches to essentially play the game. Don't get me wrong, I was never able to actually beat the game, but when you did manage to beat just one level, you felt like a Mario master. It's one of the most satisfying feelings, honestly. Watching speedruns of Kaizo Mario World is unreal. Literally, this looks fake. It's crazy to think that people are actually this skilled at the game. Which goes to show you how much potential there was with Super Mario World. Nobody played the game like this back in 1990 because there wasn't a reason to, but with new challenge breeds innovation. Kaizo Mario World quickly swept the internet, being one of the faces of early rage games, a genre of games meant to frustrate the player, be it a recorded Let's Play or inviting your friend over to torture them with the game and see their reactions. Later that same year in 2007, Kaizo Mario 2 would be released, once again created by T. Takemoto, and once again having that same cruel level design, complete with you needing to hit a secret block during the intro screen in order to avoid death. Yep, the game was even more brutal than its predecessor. Just to give you a small taste, level 1 starts with you on an incline, where if you don't react fast enough, Mario slides through the goalpost and immediately falls to his death. If you manage to jump out of the way and go down this pipe, well, I think you can guess as to where it leads you. Kaizo Mario 1, and to a lesser extent Kaizo Mario 2, really made Let's Plays an interesting time. Of course, after seeing your favorite Let's Players struggle and scream at the top of their lungs, people wanted more. But T. Takemoto is but one person. He couldn't constantly be pushing out Kaizo Mario after Kaizo Mario week after week. So, just like with the birth of ROM hacks, if the fans wanted more Kaizo, they would take matters into their own hands. Going back to Proton John, I remember he would upload videos of him playing through ROM hacks created by and sent to him by fans. Many of them were very much Kaizo clones. You could immediately see they were less polished. Some platforms and graphics looked hastily thrown together, while still maintaining the insane difficulty level. Once again, I loved seeing these videos. Proton John and Azure Blade 49 were obviously very good at Super Mario World, but they weren't speedrunning experts. They weren't able to first try, no damage taken speedrun through a Kaizo stage. They just felt like your chill friend who was good at Mario trying to navigate their way through this hellish creation.
Oh, I hate you. I hate you. I'm just gonna do this for a minute. Excuse me. I feel better.
Kaizo Mario was the blueprint for creative and annoying ways to challenge the player. One of the most frustrating aspects of Kaizo Mario for me, and I know many others, were the invisible coin blocks.
Go! That's not even remote. Hey! Oh no, coin. Oh! Go! Leap beat! Ouch! What the? Jumping on items in midair and there's coin blocks. Okay, that is really annoying. Really getting sick of seeing those. I am not a friend to invisible blocks. I swear, if there's coin blocks, and they are not a friend to me. Hate invisible coin blocks. Speaking of which, okay, that was just jerkish. That is even more jerkish.
Invisible blocks would be placed where the creator assumed the player would jump. Hitting it would naturally lead to their death. Some makers of Kaizo-inspired stages, however, would sometimes take this too far, and rely on it as a source of challenge as opposed to actually creating a more diverse, challenging game.
Fuck off with the coin blocks!
I remember it got so bad that Proton John had to literally create a video telling everyone to stop creating ROM hacks with an overabundance of invisible coin blocks. He made a stage himself using Lunar magic that showed off his frustrations in an over-the-top kind of way. He then sent it to Azure Blade, which blew my mind as a kid, and had him play through it.
So yeah, this is pretty much John's idea of revenge. John got so pissed off about this. Oh, come on, John.
That was the power of these ROM hacks, that one of the biggest players on the scene had to address these fan games that he never really had to play in the first place, but just wanted the landscape of Mario ROM hacking to be better overall. Kaizo Mario 3 would eventually hit the scene in 2012. It is widely considered to be the hardest human beatable Super Mario World hack in existence. Notably because the final boss relies heavily on RNG, or in other words, randomness. It has Bowser flying around the screen throwing hammers and shooting fire. He has no set pattern, and the only way to damage him is to wait for the bob-ombs to float down and use. The bombs, however, are still on a timer like they are normally, so not only do you have to avoid Bowser's random attacks, but also somehow time your throws with the bob-omb so the explosion manages to be in range of Bowser. Needless to say, I never made it this far. The Kaizo Mario trilogy is timeless. To this day, speedrunners and Mario Challenge players love booting up the original Kaizo trilogy to show off the series' roots to a new generation. Going to Super Mario World Central to this day to find a ROM hack, you're able to list the difficulty of your game, anywhere from beginner, standard, intermediate, and yup, you guessed it, Kaizo. Since the birth of Kaizo Mario World, there have been many games like it, some of which bear the Kaizo name. Kaizo Mario 64, Kaizo Mario Bros. 3, the list goes on. As well as other Super Mario World ROM hacks, such as Super Dram World and Invictus. These games are absolutely insane, having been able to study Kaizo Mario and somehow build upon that, creating somehow even more pinpoint accurate jumps, needing even more exact timing with button inputs. Ugh, oh man. Just watching this speedrun of level 1 of Super Dram World is so hypnotizing. I'm not sure what they're feeding these game creators and speedrunners these days, but I think I'll personally pass. Kaizo games have even contributed to things like charity. Games Done Quick, or GDQ, is a massive charity marathon event where speedrunners show off their skills in front of a crowd as well as a live-streamed audience, where Kaizo Mario games are no strangers of being a part of. However, if Kaizo games aren't your speed, don't worry. There are equally just as many fun Mario ROM hacks that don't have the insane challenge aspect. Games like Super Pika World, New Super Mario World The 12 Magic Orbs, Dr. Mario World Redrawn, and many others. I have about like 6 different videos covering a handful of ROM hacks in each of them. I'd recommend checking those videos out for a more in-depth conversation about those ROM hacks. But there's no denying, however, that Kaizo Mario absolutely exploded the ROM hacking community into the massive fan base it is today. It's like a gateway drug. Once you see this incredibly difficult Mario game, you want to learn more. ROM hacks have always had a special place in my heart. I'll always be interested in what the community is doing and what the next big ROM hack is. And in a weird way, we have this asshole Mario game to thank for it.